Cinemas here in Metro Manila will be allowed to reopen starting tomorrow. How will this help the local film industry? We now talk to the chairperson of the Film Development Council of the Philippines, Liza Diño-Seguerra. Good morning, Lisa. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Ria. Thank you for inviting us.
Okay, Lisa, what's your reaction to the decision to finally allow cinemas to reopen for the first time since the pandemic?
Wow. Well, complete disbelief, but really welcoming and supporting fully the decision of the IATF and the local governments to reopen the cinemas. We've been lobbying for this for a long time now, since you know, the cinema sector is a very crucial part of the ecosystem of the film industry. 80% of our revenue in the box office still comes from the cinema. So imagine, with that whole sector completely closed, there's no way for our films that are being produced to be showcased or exhibited in the cinemas, and we have to find ways to be able to find platforms for our films. So this is really a sign that for the start of our recovery of this very, very hard hit sector.
Right. How would you describe the health of the Philippine film industry right now, given that we've been in lockdown for a year and a half?
Well, it's undeniable that the film industry is really hard hit by this pandemic. We have 16 billion loss in the film production sector alone, and it's been reported by the cinema exhibitors of the Philippines that they're already been incurring around 21 billion losses in their sector. And of course, you know what we've been doing to support the 760,000 workers who've been really affected by the pandemic and the closure of the cinemas. So we hope that through the intervention programs that the FDCP have been doing and engaging with to support the sector, we can help, for us to get back on our feet.
Right. So, that is definitely welcome news for your industry. It's Friday, payday Friday. Are you expecting people to flock to the movie houses, or are you seeing hesitancy, when the cinemas open? And with this reopening, how will it help the film industry?
Well, it will really help a lot. But one of the things that we have to prioritize now is an information campaign to bring back the confidence of the moviegoers to watch films in the cinemas. I mean, of course, it's inevitable that a lot of the Filipino audiences became used to the other platforms, alternative platforms that have been made available during the pandemic, from streaming device, from mobile devices to your own television sets as your way to actually watch for the first time, a film. So this is something that needs to be addressed. And the FDCP has a program called Nood Tayo ng Sine, just to impart to our audiences the the proper protocols that they should abide with and comply with in order for them to safely also enjoy watching in the cinemas. And at this point, we would really like to enjoin also the support of our cinemas to prioritize screening Filipino films, which is very much needed right now for the recovery of the industry.
Right. And with the opening tomorrow, how are you working with the pandemic response officials for the guidelines and their proper implementation? Because people do want to go back to the cinemas, but they also want to feel that they're safe, right?
Yes. Well, transparency is key, definitely. And government-instituted protocols are really, really important right now to standardize how all the cinemas will operate. So the FDCP presented its proposal to the IATF last August 4, and we had a meeting with DTI Secretary Juan Lopez on October 8 on how all the government agencies involved in this implementation can work together to help the cinemas and the producers in coming up with the protocols that can work for our audiences, especially since there is a rule of a vaccination for those who are going to the cinemas, how are we going to make sure that this is being checked? What kind of, we have all different kinds of vaccination cards. So the DICT's VaxCert, which standardizes the format of our vaccination certificates, would really come in handy for us to implement these better. So a lot of these is coming from the DOH, and the FTCP together with the DTI and other government agencies are really prioritizing this to make sure we can disseminate the information very well to our audiences and the public.
That's right. It'll be a whole different experience just to get into a movie house now. But thank you so much for your time, FDCP Chair Liza Diño.